how to define key performance indicators in your project. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals to become successful project managers. That how I do that in practice can be in several different ways, from providing training to make sure that I have the right knowledge there, but also helping them to apply this knowledge in practice to gain the right skills there, because that's quite can be quite a big step there. How do I do that? I have development programs, I have one-on-one mentoring where I do help the project managers or aspiring project managers understand how a project should work and how they can apply the project management knowledge in practice there. The content here today is part of the warm-up for the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit, it's a free event I'm going to make to show you how to develop your project management skills there. I'm going to share interesting content and something that you can start to apply right now to improve your project management skills there. Everything is free. The only thing that you need to do there is click in the link there and subscribe. And again, don't forget to like and share, because also it helps this content to reach more people and more people can learn about project management, but also it helps me and my channel. And of course, I would be I'm going to appreciate that if you can help me also there. So the topic I'm going to talk about today is key performance indicators for your project. If you have been following the warm-up of the Project Management Summit, there is special content why I discuss measuring projects, it's important, why having a clear goal, it's important, and what the key performance indicator is that. Well, the key performance indicator is the measurement to understand how you're progressing towards your goal. So if you already have a project goal there, having key performance indicators is quite important there. Let me give you a simple example of a key performance indicator that you can have for a specific type of goal. Uh, Myself, every year I set annually goals for things that I want to achieve in my personal life, in my professional life, and also including my development. So I have been doing that, I don't know, for more than 10 years already. One of the things that I did in the past, and of course I'm giving you this story to exemplify how I keep performance indicator. It can help you. One of the goals that I had in the past, for example, was I want to read 10 books in a year. And I did that for, I think, a couple of years, until in one of the years, I think I started to read some different types of book, and I read I think 4 or 5 years in a book. But some of those books I read, they had more than 1,000 pages. So I read, I think, 3 books or 4 books with more than 1,000 pages, and another one that was a kind of regular book. Why I'm saying that? Because then I get in the end of the year, say, okay, my goal is to read 10 books a year. So my goal was not the best one, but how I would track my KPI is see every month. Okay, I need to read. If you do 10 a year, okay, every month more or less, I need to have. I need to read at least one book per month. If I exclude December, say because of the holidays, I'm not going to read that much, and so it's more or less one book per month that I should have it. I should have read it. So after 2 months, I would need to have at least read two books there to track it, the performance there. What's the problem when I get in the end of this year? Well, I say, okay, I read 5 books, which you might say it's too much or too little, depending how much you read. But okay, it was kind of half of my target. Then I start to think with myself, but it's not fair. Because you can read a book that's, I think, 150 pages. For example, if you read the book The Effective Executive from Peter Drucker, very good book. I do recommend it. But it's, I think, about 150 pages. It's very different from reading a book that has 1,000 pages there. We are talking about very different. So first of all, my goal was already not that good because I could not compare. You can have a very wide range of books. You can have small books. You can have quite big books. So a book by itself, although it seems measurable, which it is, you have a lot of variation on that one. So that's by itself was not a good goal. And so tracking it was not that good. What did I do to change in the next year? I still have the goal that I want to read more, but I start to track it. Say I want to read 10 page in average 10 pages per day for 350 days. Then I take it out some days, some holidays, and whatever. So you say per day. I want an average 10 pages per day. That would lead to 3,500 pages in a year. So now I have a goal that's better. It's more refined in the way I'm going to track it, but it's much easier for me to track it because, as I mentioned, say I read okay 2 books. Okay, if I read 2 team books, that's not. If I read 1 team book in 1 month, that's not much of reading in 1 month. So that also does not help me to understand. Okay, I'm reading more or not. And now I'm being much more objective with the number of pages, which helps me, which is a much better key performance indicator to understand if how much I'm reading and how much my reading is going there. Why I'm saying that? Because first of all, that's a very simple example. Hopefully you understand that you have a goal and how the key performance indicators helps you to achieve this goal. But it's also a way to show you that you can exercise your skill to define good goals and to define key performance indicators, and you can start to apply this right now. Let me put another example of a project and how a key performance indicator can affect you in a different scenario of a project. So I think already probably 10 years ago, I was working in a company. I was the project manager for engineering, procurement, and construction projects. And of course, my goal was to deliver the project within time, on budget, with the right profitability for the company, quality, blah, 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 blah. And of course, we have key performance indicators for the project. For me, as a project manager, I had one key performance indicator is, of course, to track the time, to understand if I'm going to be able to achieve the project on time or not. And because this project was engineering, procurement, and construction, which I just mentioned, part of my project was in the design team. So what had happened is I had a design team. They had to do a civil design and mechanical design and electrical design there. So to release the drawings and the design list of materials that I had to buy, so I would buy the material to organize the construction, the assembly, and the commissioning there. So I had also a KPI for the design team. For my project, what matters for the project, my KPI for the design team was heavily focusing on drawings that they were released or list of materials that they were released. Why? Because I could only do anything in the construction or buy the material if the list was released or if the drawing was released. The problem in this situation is the engineering manager, he had a different view. Why? Because he had a view that uh, he want to promote himself and he want to promote his department. So he was focusing. The focus of his KPI was drawing that were issued. What's the problem with that? If the drawing is issued, it's a good first step, but they cannot be officially used into construction until they are released. And what kind of problem you set with this wrong type of KPI there? You set a culture that everybody wants to release drawings. So they were releasing a lot of drawings, but those drawings they had a customer or they have a engineering reviewer that they had to review the technically the drawing to say okay, that's okay, let's proceed with that. And if you can imagine if you want to issue something very fast, likely this what they were doing there, they were compromising the quality, so they would gain a lot of comments. Anyway, because your key performance indicator is to issue drawings, the type of priority that you get, priority is always to keep issuing drawings and not releasing drawings. So you get a big backlog of drawings that need review for another to send again for approval before it can be approved for release. That messes up the entire project dynamics because in this case, what's going to happen is you are prioritizing the wrong things because you people tend to want to see to chase their key performance indicators to have it in a good way. And so they were doing that. What's the problem? Yeah, that was delaying the entire project because the design team was focusing on issuing drawings and they were not working to release drawings. This is another different case that how the key performance indicators that you're setting and how you're setting those key performance indicators there, they're quite important for your project. So You first of all, you need to define key performance indicators. The key performance indicators, they are going to measure how you go. For example, if you're, I give you some example, but a different one. If you are driving, let's say that you want to drive from from Paris to Rome. One of the key performance indicators that you can settle there is the number of kilometers that you are driving per day. If you are going to do it in more than one day, or the number of kilometers that you are driving per hour, the speed that you are using, the fuel tank that you, the level of the gasoline that you have in the tank, and this kind of stuff. So the key performance indicators, in the same example as the book or in the same example of the drawing, will help you to understand how you progress. What happens in a lot of organizations? They set key performance indicators in a wrong way, as I just mentioned in the case of the engineering team. So instead of the key performance indicator being something, as the name says, it should be a key performance indicator to indicate how the performance is going. So meaning that if your KPI is green, that should mean that you are going to the right direction, that your progress is following, it's progressing with the right speed, with the right quality, this kind of stuff. But in this case, it was not. So how you are going to define these key performance indicators into your project? They are very critical one. For other key performance indicators, where you see usually people doing something, sometimes people do weird stuff. Quality. You have a key performance indicator for quality. You can have number of rejects or number of reviews, or one of the one thing that I see it's the, for example, a target for everything that you are manufacturing. You have some type of scrap, some type of material that you cannot use. You cannot ever use 100% of the material, be 100% efficient. So in production, you are going to have scrap. In one of the projects I'm working on, what the team did for the scrap. First of all, they set up a low target, meaning that depending on what you're producing there, what you want, it can be highly dependable, of course, from what you're producing. You want the number as high as possible because it means that you're avoiding waste, you're avoiding scrap, and you are being more efficient with the use of the resource. But in this project, because they want to have a very easy target to reach, they were setting targets for scrap in 50%. Well, 50% means that if you get two parts, let's say that you are assembling an iPhone. Every time you put all the material to assemble an iPhone, then in the end you throw a full iPhone away, say, okay, this is a scrap, and you have a good one in the end. So in this situation, that was ridiculous. But what the production team they want? I want to have a green KPI, a green key performance indicator. So what do? You set the bar very low. What does it make to the project that? Well, in this case, what happened with the project, the costs just went up drastically to produce anything because you can imagine with a 50% waste, that's incredibly high. And you have all the other type of projects. So every time you are setting up a key performance indicator, you need to understand, of course, first, you need to have key performance indicators. Every project should have key performance indicator. If you do not know which ones I'm going to tell you, you should have at least two. And I'm saying at least because it's at least two, one to measure time and one to measure cost there. But then you need to understand if the key performance indicator that you have in place, it makes sense and it helps you also to progress. It helps you to achieve the goal there. Because you're going to find out people who have all the ideas how they go around of the key performance indicators. For example, other companies that I've worked on, that when I started in the organization, I was handling some stuff for them. The PMO director, he told me very proudly that he created a system there to mitigate the escalation process there. Because what happened? The company had a system where they would input milestones for the projects there. And as soon as the milestones they were missed or they start to get delayed, there was an automatic system that would send an emails to other directors or for higher in the leadership in the hierarchy to say, hey, this project is delayed. So this PMO manager there, he told me very proudly that he created a system that was able to almost avoid all type of escalations. So what he did to make sure that he always had a green KPI there? Well, he hired someone that would check the system every week, and before any deadline was missed, they would type a new date there. So that's so of course, if you every time you're going to about to miss a deadline, you push it away, you're not going to miss it. The system will not send automatic emails for escalation emails, and you say, see, that's how smart I am. And I was thinking like that was one of the stupidest things that I've seen in my life. Why? Because in my perspective, this person don't care about the value of the company, the value about project management, don't care about anything else. He just cared that he's going to showcase that he took an area that had a lot of escalations, a lot of delayed projects, and now everything was on track. So it's very important that you define the KPI that makes sense, that helps you to track some progress there, but also that you have a good procedure and you work this in an effective way. Because you're going to find out that this case where the manager was quite extreme, that he was doing that for an entire department. But I've seen other project managers that in other companies that not uncommonly they don't want to report a red KPI, so they would keep reviewing the baseline. What happens if you do that? And I've seen that even other companies doing that. Well, if you keep reviewing the baseline, okay, you're always going to be on track. But at some time, depending on if you have a hard deadline, then you're going to miss it. So by trying to keep your key performance indicator as green, you're not, you're just faking, or you're just lying to yourself, saying that everything is okay, but in the end, it's not going to be. So what you need to understand, what kind of key performance indicator I need to have? Does it help me to track performance in the right way? Remember, for example, in the example in the book that I gave to you in the beginning, my key performance indicator kind of gave me an idea how much I was reading, but was not that good. Number of books, 10 books. Yeah, if it's a 10 very small books, yeah, you can do it maybe in 1 month, and I don't read the rest of the year. You remember the example that I mentioned for the engineering team? Issue drawings also was not a good KPI. So you need to understand, that's why it can be kind of a subtle thing. You need to understand what triggers, um, what's going to help me to trigger the to make sure that I'm assessing the progress in a right way, but progress also towards a goal, progress towards a value that you make. You can see that in several different ways. For example, for progress, I just mentioned few things that you see people renegotiating deadlines. But for example, in the case of people renegotiating deadlines, you also can create something that okay, you're going to have a KPI that measure your progress, but also you're going to take a look in which review of the baseline that you're using. For example, if you're looking into an agile project, if you're using Scrum, your velocity will not tell you much, because just say that the velocity you did a lot of stuff does not say about the quality, not the quality per se, because if you're following the definition of done, that should guarantee the quality for what you're doing, but does not say the value that you're adding there. So you can look for different KPIs to see the value added. For example, after a release, what are the number of customers using that? What's the usage of a specific feature that you're doing there? What's the profitability that you have for a specific type of feature? If it's something and add up, are the customers paying more? They are willing to pay more to add something like that. You can look for all these other type of KPIs. You can look for KPIs in your team. For example, a lot of times people, when you're talking about people managing a team, some managers, they just want to look for utilization. If they want to see the utilization, it's 100%, they are happy with that. But looking for utilization does not mean a lot of stuff also. Because utilization is going to mean that people are busy, but busy with what? And some people, and here about having the green KPI, you're going to find out that there are some people they always want to tell you that they are busy no matter what. And I've worked with people that they were saying I'm busy. They were always busy, but I'll say what you are delivering for the company, basically almost nothing. Because they were busy because they were afraid that they would lose their jobs if people say that they are not doing if they're not doing stuff. But in the end, they end up losing their job because okay, you don't deliver anything. People would see them on social media or doing other stuff. Yeah, so there's no value added there. So you need to focus on KPIs that focus into contribution there. And some KPIs, and this contribution needs to be measured against the value for the project. I've seen also when you talk about key performance indicators, in one of the companies I've worked on, at some point the procurement team, there was also a lot of complaints saying that they were this is delaying and so on. What they did, they set up our standard lead time to buy anything is 3 months because I said then I'm 100% sure that I'm going to be able to reach it. So they want to measure their key performance against that against this goal. What's the problem with this goal? The same as in the engineering part, the goal is completely misaligned with the project because in some of the projects it was required to buy stuff in 1 month, and if you do it in 3 months, oh, then you delay the project. But so the alignment, the KPIs that you have among the different areas, it needs to be there. Those KPIs, they need to be thinking, defined, align it towards a project goal, align it towards a company strategy, align it towards a company's objective there. Because like the company comes up, our objective is to deliver projects, to deliver products. We want to be fast, and we want to be this profitability. And so comes someone saying, oh, but our target here is issuing drawings, or our target here is buying everything in 3 months. That's not reasonable. That's against the project target, and that's against the organization target. So you need to look into those different perspectives, and you need to understand what makes sense into your project. And of course, you can have, if you look for business case, you can have NPV KPIs, you can have NPV net present value, you can have gross margin, operating margin, internal rate of return, payback, development cost per sales, product unit cost, product market share, total revenue, capex. You can have cost KPIs for cost development. Time KPIs, you can look for schedule perform index from PMBOK. You can have an S curve, burned up, burned down. Time to market. You can have scopes KPIs, number of change orders, number of claims that you have there. You can have production KPIs. Why I'm showing those different KPIs very fast? Because I cannot tell you a KPI that's going to work right away in your project. That's why I'm mentioning a lot of different cases where people think, oh, this KPI is a good idea, but in the end it's not, because it's not aligns with the value that you have. You need to have this big picture every time you are talking about KPI, saying these key performance indicators helps with the company big picture. It helps with the project big picture. If not, so you don't need to have it. Because you can have key performance. I've know people. I've seen people tracking stuff, but that they are not really meaningful. For example, some time ago, I don't remember already. Some time I was doing one-on-one mentoring with a production manager from a small factory in Brazil. I did there like a Toyota production system lean management training there. And they were trying. It was a small factory there, a small production site there. So the company had, I don't know, 25, 30 people working there, and they were trying to improve and to make it this to go to take the next step to go to the next level. And then the product manager in one of our one-on-one discussions, she come up with a very nice KPI that she would measure the amount of waste of material in which step of the process. and what I asked her, okay, I understand that's an interesting information to have, but is that the first thing that you need to tackle? How much work that she would have to implement this key performance indicator and to track that, and what amount of gain that she would have in the end. What the company target, of course, was to have with the same facilities there. They want to increase their capacity, so she could look into stuff like utilization of equipment, changeover, and which in the end would help them to really increase their production in a year. And of course, make that if you increase production with the same capacity, unit cost for production goes down. The company can sell more, and blah blah blah. There's a lot of impact there. But if you're thinking about this scrap, okay, if you change the scrap from 5% to 4%, it's good. I'm not saying that's not good. But considering your big picture that you have here, that's not your first focus point. So understanding the prioritization that you have in key performance indicators, it's also quite important. For example, if you're working with a construction, what a KPI that's always there and that's always very important? Number of accidents. All companies in the world, they want to have zero accident there. And of course, there's other KPIs that you can break down to understand, to avoid that you get to an accident. You can have a number of incidents, then you can have use of personal, individual protection equipment. You can have collective protection equipment. You can have all those types of things that they are done, like in a preventive way to avoid accidents. But all those things that to achieve the goal of zero accidents and of course to achieve the target of zero accident there, they need to make sense in a scenario there. If I tell you I'm going to create a procedure, a new procedure to have zero accident, maybe the procedure can even be good, but just writing down does not help. So what do you need to do next? You need to train the people in the procedure. You need to make sure they are following the procedure. So you can have a KPI for number of audits that you are doing. You can have number of hours of training that you are doing. So there are all those types of stuff that can contribute for a KPI like that. But in the end, if you only have key performance indicators, but you do not understand how they are going to support the project, then also that's not helping you. That's what this discussion is about. So understand, to define a KPI, you need to have a very good understanding of your goal. So your goal needs to be clear, needs to be measurable, and you need to find ways how you're going to break down this goal. Of course, people talk about nowadays of OKR, objective and key results. What you are going to do with an OKR is you have an objective, so you have a goal, and you break down this in key results. What are the key initiatives that are going to help you to achieve your goal? And the OKRs has been growing a lot because a lot of times people they set goals, but they don't know think the initiatives that they need to follow these goals, and they do not think the key performance indicators how they are going to get to these goals. So what do you want? And why I started with an example of reading, because this is a skill to develop KPIs and to understand if those KPIs are setting up goals. It's a skill. Defining clear goals is a skill, and defining KPIs that help you to achieve these goals, defining the key initiatives there, or the key results that you need to get to achieve those goals. It's also a skill. And I started to tell you an example of reading a book because you can start to develop your skill right now. Because think about it, if you do not do it for your personal life, if you've never done it, the first time that you try to do that for a project, you're going to struggle. If you try to do that in your project, you define a goal, you're going to struggle. Why? Because you're not used to write down goals. You're not used to define goals in a clear way. That's why you need, if you're not working with project management, you can start to define this in your personal life. The same way you can define your goal in your personal life, you can define your key performance indicators there. Key performance indicators that will help you, for example, studying. Reading, that's also of course why I have it. I have it both. I have reading and I have studying I have those two key performance indicators in my personal life. But you can have savings, you can have investment, and you can have all other types of stuff that you can effectively measure, like saving. I want to save $100 per month, or $50 per month, or even $10 per month. You do it, you do it, you define the KPI. It helps you to set the goal. It helps you to identify the key performance indicators. And more important, it helps you to define the good habits, and it helps you to define the habit that you are going to track your KPIs to understand and adjust your project. All those things, they are required skills to be successful with project manager that you can start to develop right now. For example, I've seen people setting up, when I talk about that, setting up key performance indicators for studying. And they say, okay, I'm going to watch it, yeah, because I have a project management training, a development program there. Then I say, I'm going to watch it X amount of hours per week in your program. What's the problem with a key performance indicator like that? Oh, because just watching does not mean that you are learning something. Because you can watch it everything as if you were watching Netflix, binge watch everything, and you do not learn anything. If you do not pay attention, if you do not take notes. So what would be a better KPI for study? You are going to create the overview or the key points. You are going to write down the key points what you are learning. You can also add there, I'm going to do this exercise, or for example, in the case of my program, I have exercises, I have cases, I have quizzes. All those to make sure that you're consolidating your knowledge. You can have, I'm going to ask one question per week, because like in my development program, I have unlimited questions like for 1 year for people join there. So you can ask questions every week. So okay, I studied this. I'm going to think what kind of question I can ask. That's going to help me to progress with my knowledge there. Those are key performance indicators that can help you to achieve your goal. But it's a better key performance indicator than just watching a video, because watching a video it's too passive. Does not mean just because you watch it. I know people that are going to watch it in their then they are going to use their cell phone at the same time. So you're going to listen, you're going to hear it, but you're not going to listen. So another very important example, how setting up, how defining key performance indicators can be challenging if you do it in the wrong way. But as soon as you start to understand and you start to understand those traps that you can have around that, it's going to help you to be more successful into your projects. So my question to you is, what kind of key performance indicator that you have right now? You can write down in the comments here what kind of key performance indicator that you have in your life and in your projects. Are those key performance indicators there being effective to track your progress there? And progress towards your goal, progress to add value to organization, add value for your project? Tell me that. I really want to know it. Because in the end, if you're doing that, you should also should be able to see the results, the progress for what you're doing. Because the entire idea of defining a good key performance indicator is to make sure that you have something meaningful that helps you to achieve your goal and helps you to make corrections in the way. The same thing that I mentioned for traveling. If you're traveling, if you say, okay, I'm traveling, I'm not progress as I want, you can go a bit faster, or you say, I'm going too fast, you can go a bit slower, or you need to sometimes stop to fuel the tank, this kind of stuff. So very important there. If you have questions, feel free to ask here. Don't forget, this is part of the warm-up for the Project Management Summit. It's a free event. The only thing that you need to do here, click in the link and subscribe. And again, don't forget to like and share this video, because this that helps me. That will help this video to reach more people, so people can learn project management. But also helps me, and I would appreciate a lot your help here. And of course, if you want more content on project management, don't forget to follow. Every week there's more content. I have a daily Q&A box on Instagram that you can ask all project management related questions that you want there. Thank you, and see you soon. Bye.